Welcome to Grolnok, the Omnivore. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got one land. Other than that, I love this. If we had two lanes, I would keep on this in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, we're on the play, so we've got to ship this one back. If we don't hit that second, yeah, we can keep on this one. I like this. We've got some good ramps, so we'll keep on this one. And I think what we'll do is we'll end up putting probably set training on the bottom. I think we're okay with that because everything else helps us kind of push our game plan. So, in fact, let's have some fun. So let's go and lead off with Tropical Island. And let's go Mana Crypt. And then let's go and drop in Omen of the Hunt. I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. Yeah, let's do that. So, well, actually, we can just, well, just in case they've got counter magic, we'll just go and flash this one in. So let's go and flash in Omen of the Hunt. That way we can search our library for a basic lane and see if we get our opponent to scoop on this one or not. I understand fast mana sometimes makes some people scoop. Not saying our opponent's going to do that, but yeah, when somebody goes Mana Crypt and Omen and you make a lane drop and pass the turn, it's kind of like, okay. But anyway, let's go and get Island onto the battlefield. There we go. We got enough mana for Grolnok, so we're good to go. Anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, welcome to Grolnok, the Omnivore. We've got some spooky frog enchantress that I'm very excited to talk about today, so we're going to have some fun. And if you want to sound the Simic alarms, you can sound it for our side of the deck, and you can start sound the Simic alarms for our opponent's side over there too, because we have Simic versus Simic, so I'm very excited about that. All right, so go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. There we go, won the flip. We are 1 for 1 on those. And yeah, I think at this point, we just end up going for... I think we end up going for Grolnok. I think I kind of like that. So let's get Grolnok onto the battlefield. That's going to be 1-2. And at the very least, if we can start getting in some attacks to get that milling going, then we can kind of get some good stuff moving on that. I kind of like that. So let's go and drop in a Dream Root, Cascade, and let's go and go in Wild Growth on Dream Root. That way we just have access to as much mana as possible. So we're going to drop in Wild Growth, and then anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Grolnok, the Omnivore, the all-knowing frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Then whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from the library, exile it with a croak counter on it. Then you may play lands and cast spells among them from cards that you own in exile with croak counters on them. Playing against Prime Speaker Zegana. Prime Speaker enters the battlefield with X+1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Then when Prime Speaker enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to its power. So if you've never played against Prime Speaker, or at least played Prime Speaker, if you do some setting up right, you can get some you can get some pretty good card draw off that Prime Speaker. So hopefully we're going to have some good fun. And but yes, we did cover both commanders. In fact, let's go and give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that will apply my affiliate link that will allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you do use that link, much obliged. I certainly appreciate it. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders if you want to play Magic Online. Let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com/Jolt for 10% off of your order. And last but not least, I started a Patreon, so if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home, hopefully inside of Grolnok's belly, we see your arm right there. It's officially free time if you can get to your score pad. If that's your writing hand, if your writing hand is inside the belly, because there's one hand sticking out, then anyway, you can mark it. It's free time. Let's have some fun. All right, so see what we're drawing to. We'll at least have a mill option with the Grolnok, and hopefully that can kind of kickstart some of the fun stuff that we were doing. This is not Frog Tribal. Oh, yeah. There we go. That's exactly what we needed to get this moving. So, in fact, let's do this. Let's go and push in with Grolnok, because we just have a free attack right now. If they want to block with Dried Arbor, they certainly can. That way, we're going to get a little bit of extra look at, the Exile Zone and have a little bit extra cards in our hand, quote-unquote, to get some good stuff going. Oh, and that is perfect. We hit Alpha Authority, Swiftfoot Boots, and we hit, and we'll look at that here in just a second. So we got Transformation, we got Alpha Authority, and Swiftfoot Boots. That is great. All right, so we're swinging in for 3. I'm just going to knock our opponent down to 36 if they don't block, and then that will be 3 total commander damage. Oh, yeah, look at that. So let's make the land drop for the turn. Let's go Enchantress Presence. We'll tap down green and tap down Mana Crypt. That way we can get the extra value going. And with Alpha Authority, it's going to give it hexproof. So that's also going to trigger Enchantress Presence, and at the same time giving us protection for Grolnok. So let's go and go for that right now. Let's go and target Grolnok. That's going to be 1-2. Oh, this is good. Alright, so this is going to be an extra card draw from Enchantress Presence. Run into Overgrowth, okay. And that's going to be hexproof. And unfortunately, the Exile Zone is really not interacting, but it's kind of hard to see what's happening. And then with Swiftfoot Boots, I think we'll just go ahead and cast that. That way we have it on the battlefield for next turn. You know, it never hurts to have a little bit of extra protection. So let's go and get Swiftfoot Boots down. We've already made the land drop. Anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. There we go. But yes, as far as the build of this deck, if you haven't seen Gitrog Hypnotoad, one of the fun things about Innistrad is they seem to always release some sort of legendary frog. You know, I was explaining this to my wife the other day. It's like you have Innistrad, you've got your vampires, you've got your werewolves, you've got your zombies, you've got everything that you want in like this like horror story. And also there's this, it came from the swamp monster that's just there. And you know, so whenever I first built Gitrog, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube, type in Gitrog Hypnotoad or Gitrog Jolt and you'll see it. But I built an Enchantress deck. You know, we're trying to make Gitrog as big as possible, and that's also what we're doing with Grolnok. So let's go and choose Tails on this one. So that's why I went with an Enchantress route. And it actually does work out really well with Grolnok, being able to build up a lot of your extra value. All right, so we got a Prime Speaker sitting at a 2-2. And we've got Transformation, which we can turn it into a 3-3. I think at this point, what we want to do is we can drop in Dryad, because with Dryad, that's going to give us the option of... Yeah, I like this. So let's go and drop in Dryad, because that's going to trigger Enchantress Presence, because right now we're just kind of looking for an extra Voltron piece to really boost the power and toughness on Grolnok right now. All right, so we run into another land. That'll actually work out with Dryad. So let's go and make the land drop. We're going to go and shock this one in, because we don't mind paying 2 life on this one. Let's go for Overgrowth. We'll go and target this island. That'll be an additional card draw. Okay, so let's go and push in with a 3-3. We have the coast is clear right now, so we're going to swing in with a 3-3. And one of the good things about Alpha Authority, and I absolutely love this in an Voltron deck, is that Alpha Authority is going to give you hexproof, but it also kind of creates this crawl space effect where only one creature can block it. So if you get trample on there, it's pretty good. So we got the Exile Zone, and we'll see exactly what we hit off of that. So we're swinging in for a 3-3. That's going to drop them down to 33. That's going to be 6 total commander damage. And let's see what we hit. So we run into Shimmer Wings, and that actually does work out. It's going to be Temple of Mystery, which is going to enter the battlefield untapped. And then we've got Island. So let's go ahead and go for, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to be Thrain Dynamo. Let's go ahead and go for Temple. Kind of like that land drop. That's going to give us a Scry and a Scurry and some Fever. And we'll see what's on top. Set Training. Yeah, Trample, I like that. We're going to leave that on top, that way we can draw into it. And let's go and go for Shimmer onto Grolnok. We're going to go and tap down for Blue. That's going to be an additional card draw, so we'll draw into Set Training, and then we can still cast it. Yes, I like that. So let's go and do that. So we draw into Set Training. We're going to get Shimmering Wings onto Grolnok, so now it has Flying. Let's go Set Training onto Grolnok, which is going to be a card draw. Oh, look at this. Look at this Value Town. So it's going to be +1, and it has Trample, and we get a card draw whenever this enters the battlefield. There we go, look at that. We're having fun, or at least, yeah, we are having fun, that is for sure. And now we're looking at 1 total mana. Let's just go and go Boots onto, let's go Boots onto Grolnok. I kind of like that, so there we go. All right, so we're going to shift Boots onto Grolnok, and then we've made all the land drops that we can make for the turn. Anything else? We're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, this is a very good taste of what we're trying to do in a deck like this. You know, we don't have the crazy amount of enchantments on there right now, or the auras on Grolnok. One of the things that we're trying to do, and if you've never played an Enchantress deck, is that you get down some sort of enabler piece. So right now our enabler piece is Enchantress Presence. That's going to allow us to cast an enchantment, draw a card, and kind of keep that value going as we get card advantage going. What we're trying to find is something like Ancestral Mask, that's really going to boost the power and toughness for Grolnok. And then we also have Auramancer's Guise, which is a Absolutely wonderful card, and it's basically the same thing as Ancestral Mass. So we have like two. Ooh, that's a Ranker right there. All right, so let's go for it. Let's go Ranker onto onto Grolnok. That's one of the best cards you can draw into. So that's going to be +2/+0. It's going to give it trample, run into another land, and then let's go and drop in Catacombs. Let's go and crack Catacombs. And let's see what this is. So our opponent is tapping down for a little bit extra mana. It's going to be Harrow. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's go and get Forest onto the battlefield. And what we're going to do on this one is we can still make a land drop out of exile if we want to. So let's go and do that. Let's go and drop in Island out of exile. Let's go ahead and go for Shimmer Wings. We're going to go and return that back to our hand. That way we can recast it and hopefully draw into something else and kind of get that value going. So let's go ahead and go Shimmer Wings back onto Grolnok. That way we can get the Enchantress present. And hopefully we can find some sort of amplifying effect that'll really boost the power and toughness. Okay, so we run into Lignify. We actually don't want that right now because we want to be able to push past our opponent. Yeah, so let's do this. So we can Lignify onto Prime Speaker. That's going to make it a 0/4, but that'll really kind of cut into our power and toughness. So let's go and push in right now with Grolnok. Get in for the 6/3 because either way we're still protected right now. It's going to allow us to mill 3 cards. Oh, there we go. All right, so we hit Chronic Flooding, which I'll talk about that in a second. We do run into Oromancer's Guile, and we do run into Weirding Wood. So we're actually, man, we are hitting these Grolnok triggers very good. So let's go and swing in for a 6/3. That's going to bump the Commander damage up to 12 and drop it down to 27. And then let's go ahead and make sure that we're making all our land drops. So we have no land drops out of exile. We've hit them all with Dryad. Let's go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and go for... First things first, let's go for Guile onto Gitrog, and let's go and tap down double blue for this. And we'll tap down Mana Crypt. There we go. All right, so really going to get a nice power and toughness bonus with the Oromancer's Guise. And also going to be an additional card. There you go. Imprison in the Moon. Okay. And actually, we might end up going Imprison on the Moon on Prime Speaker, because that'll cut away any sort of bounce shenanigans or anything like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got about 5 mana. I think what we'll do is we'll hold on to Imprison in the Moon. So we do have extra mana that we can go for. Let's just go and go for Chronic Flooding onto this Forest. That's going to be an extra card draw. And then with Chronic Flooding, that's going to help us get some really good mill going next turn. And that's also why when I decided to build this deck, I didn't know where I wanted to take it. I knew I wanted to go Voltron. So we have nothing else that we want to do. Yeah, let's just go and go for Imprison in the Moon on Prime Speaker. I'm pretty much okay with that. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. And that still gives us the option to get the card draw from Enchantress present, and then we can tap down Chronic Flooding during our opponent's turn to get a little bit of exile on there. But right now, we're looking at a beautiful frog right now. Look at that. We got a 16-13 with Oromancer's Goggles out there, or guys out there. Yeah, anything else, we'll go and pass the turn over there. But this is what we're trying to do. If our opponent has Cyclonic Rift, they've got it. They're going to be able to send everything back to the hand. But we'll see what they can assemble. And I know our opponent didn't get off to a great start, but if you see this video, I mean, this is exactly what we're trying to do in a deck like this. We hit the big enabler with Oromancer. It's going to be +2/+2, and it has Vigilance for each enchantment on the battlefield. So you can see we're sitting at a 16-13, and that's exactly what we want. So let's see what this is. Our opponent is tapping down for 6 total mana. That is 7, and this can be Nyx Bloom Ancient. Okay. And I think we've got it, because I don't think Nyx Bloom has reach. So let's see what else they're tapping down for. That is a pretty good chunk of mana right there. Okay, that's going to be Mimic. Enter the battlefield as a copy of Nyx Bloom. Oh my goodness, sound the Simic alarms on that. That is a lot of mana. But yeah, so whenever I decided to build Grolnok, I know I wanted to build Voltron. And I almost went artifacts because white has a reliance on artifacts, you know, being able to search them up and different things like that. But as I started looking at the different enchantments, stuff like Chronic Flooding, which allows us to exile stuff for Grolnok. All right, opponent's going to scoop it up on that one. We'll take it. So we're looking at a Grolnok that has Flying, Haste, Hexproof, Trample, and Vigilance. It's sitting in a 16-13. At the very least for next turn. We've got Aether Tunnel, which is going to give us an additional +2/+2. Yeah, this is what we're trying to do with Grolnok. That's a lot of fun right there. You can really utilize the exile zone by exiling those enchantments. You can use that, you know, that blue enchantment that we can flicker back and forth to kind of trigger that extra card draw. And at the same time, instead of going Frog Tribal, you can use a lot of the blue enchantments that allow you to mill yourself out. and define extra threats right there. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.